one of Uganda's leading cash crops, and it has been for years. Today we've seen a jump in the volumes that the country produces and exports to the outside countries. Now, I don't know how you look at it, Shamim. I don't know whether you have more Ugandans playing in this space when you look at the grand scheme of things around coffee.
I think that we haven't done a lot, but there is an opportunity for us to actually do better. We can see a lot. We have this whole question about the youth. How can we help influence the youth to actually get into this sector, just as it's been with other areas of innovation?
Very good, indeed. And that's what we'll be discussing in our shows that are coming, because we want to see how Uganda can actually optimize dividends out of the coffee subsector. Welcome to the show. It is Man and Markets, and I'm Charles Boyd, your host.
And I'm Shamim K. Matovu. Uganda's insurance industry is currently going through a phase of mergers and acquisition today, and we can see global players coming on board.
Indeed, and of late we've seen Allianz joining the market. But before that, we had Prudential coming on board, and of course, Old Mutual, one of the biggest players in Europe, also coming on board. Now, the most important question here is whether these global players are going to contribute to the penetration of the insurance industry, which for ages has stayed below 1% of GDP.
Allianz has been existing around in the market, supported us a lot on agriculture, and we've just renewed the partnership with the Ministry of Finance. Initially it was a 5-year pilot project, but now we're turning towards a perpetual sponsorship of the subsidy premium to the farmers. So with Allianz coming on board, certainly it's going to be a huge milestone for us as a sector. The penetration of insurance in Uganda is less than 1%, so that means we have a whole 99%, that is not exposed to insurance. And with the entry of Allianz, it certainly brings something to the market, something new and fresh to the market, whereby certainly we'll look at product innovation, new products coming on board, which inadvertently, invariably, will certainly extend to the rest of the market in terms of consumer uptake and awareness. And of course, it also creates a very good edge in terms of competition amongst the members, because we know competition is very healthy. Come with their own breed of DNA of systems and things like that. Currently, we are in the process of gathering information on the third quarter results. Unfortunately, it hasn't come through because members have just closed their quarter and doing their returns. So we expect that in about a week or so, we shall have an indication of where the industry is. But if I look at what our performance was at the end of second quarter, I can commend our members that it was a sterling performance. We registered a 15% growth against last year. Remember, before COVID, we were at an accelerated growth rate of about 13%. So it is only in 2020 that we had a slight dip to 9%. But that was understandable because of the slowdown in downturn in business and all that. But the fact that we have recovered as at the end of second quarter for 2021, I think it's remarkable. It's a good addition to our market. Amazingly, medical insurance has been a growth accelerant, and life insurance as well. The general insurance tends to be stagnant, as it were, but medical and life have actually, because these are policies that touch and concern somebody's livelihood. And I think the general population has also got to see the benefit of these policies. And most importantly, I also want to commend my members that they've actually gone out to showcase the importance of these policies. And of course, we cannot discount the fact that the COVID-19 pandemic and its rigors probably also created that awareness, because we now have a medical cover for COVID. Initially, it was an exclusion during the first lockdown, at the inception of the COVID-19 pandemic, but now we have a cover specifically for COVID-19. So the uptake has certainly increased. And of course, people seeing that you can save money through insurance is also, as another avenue for wealth creation, I think is also another accelerant for our growth.
Ever since Uganda discovered commercially viable oil and gas deposits, there's been a lot of expectation.
And indeed, Shamim, this expectation is anchored on the fact that this sector is likely to free Uganda out of the yoke of poverty it's been grappling with for years. Now the question is, are the small, medium and micro enterprises ready to partake of the opportunity that this presents. Now, today we speak to bankers to find out what they are doing to help these players actually participate commercially in this space. As Uganda pushes more local content laws and policies related to the oil and gas sector, experts assert that more emphasis should be placed at tooling local enterprises to actually participate. The discovery of commercially viable oil deposits in Uganda over 10 years ago brought excitement, especially among SMEs and policymakers, with many looking at it as a growth driver the private sector and the economy needed. To lock in the anticipated dividends from these key resources, the country passed local content laws guaranteeing a considerable share of benefits from the oil and gas sector to local companies. Experts, however, warn that legislation is not enough to ensure the benefits from the sector trickle down.
There are some economies such as Brazil that have, put on paper very aggressive, local content goals. For example, aggressive goals in terms of the percentage of contracts that go to local businesses. And what happened is the capacity of the local industry was not ready to supply at such volumes and at such high standards. And it did kind of like cause some frustrations on the projects.
To this end, pundits are calling for deliberate policies and action stands that tool SMEs and local companies to participate and compete in this space. And basing on the Mozambican experience, business development is one of the areas many are keenly looking at.
We've developed partnerships with entities that focus on bringing enterprise development. So as we speak, for a year now, we have an MOU and partnership signed with Mozap, and Mozap happens to be the enterprise development center that belongs to ExxonMobil. And they have a goal of training more or less 1,000 or over 1,000 SMEs in 4 years, and training local SMEs and capacitate them to eventually, supply goods and services to large projects in the oil and gas sector.
Besides limited technical know-how, there's a major resources challenge for those wishing to participate in this sector. Here, questions are being asked about the role banks can play to strengthen SME participation.
The real value of oil and gas is in the linkages that are going to accrue to the other sectors in the economy. So if you think about the multiple that is going to go into agriculture, the multiple that is going to go into construction, the multiple that is going to go into logistics, at ABSA, we already have solutions in place to support these sectors. And what we're trying to do is to make sure that we can handle the increased volumes that are going to come out of these sectors that are going to benefit from the oil and gas.
It is no doubt that the final investment decision for the development of Uganda's oil and gas sector is delayed. To pundits, this could also be a blessing in disguise, as it affords the country more time to put its house in order.
We now take a very short commercial break. Money and Markets continues after this break.